So according to an Elderman financial report, over 50% of us Americans who are homeowners are trapped in our home, like literally trapped. Now, what does that mean? I don't mean the front door is like locked, right? I mean that you cannot move. You cannot sell your home and get into another affordable housing situation, housing payment situation. And the main reason is because interest rates have been low and most people are like locked into this really, really good setup with really low interest rates, right? So who's willing to give up those low interest rates to increase their payment on the new home that they're going to buy and then maybe not be able to have as much disposable income? And the reality is that 50% of Americans don't have the option to make like for like exchanges because they're in such low interest payments. They're going to have to give something up. Now, what they're going to have to give up is money. That's what they're going to have to give up. So this article that I'm reading suggests 3 different options that you might have if you're in this situation. Let's go over them and see if these are actually good options or not. You know, I think also we have to bundle the fact that over the last 3 years since the pandemic started, or 4 years maybe, our home prices in America appreciated 47.1%. Like, no wonder people are stuck. They got prices from way back in the day with interest rates from way back in the day. Under 4% interest rate is very common. But now, if you're going to go buy and you're going to get a loan, you're going to be stuck because you're going to have to pay 7%. That's kind of what it's at now, unless you do one of these ideas that they give. So let's get into the first idea here. So the first idea is really interesting. It's not one I would really suggest too much, but you know, it could work for some people. So it's just not one that's like the first thing that I think of. So using equity to buy down your rate. Now, let me give you an example. You can sell your home in Sarasota, Florida, which is where I'm at, right? I'm in Sarasota, Bradenton area. I'm a real estate agent. By the way, my name is Maciek Zaremba. You can call me if you have questions, 941-888-SOLD. But you can sell your home and you can buy new construction where they have really low interest rates. Or you can pay a little bit of money and buy down your rate even further. Now, if you're going to buy a resale home, if not new construction, then you're going to have to pay a lot to buy down your rate. So they're basically saying like, look, your home probably appreciated quite a bit. Let's just say you bought it for $250 and it went up to $550. Well, after you sell it at $550, you pay down your mortgage, you pay off your mortgage, and you pay your agents and all the closing costs. You know, you might be left with, let's just say, $250, right? And with that $250 that you have left, use some of that money to pay down your interest rate. But to be honest with you, to make an impact on paying down interest rates, you know, from a 7 to a 3.5 to 4%, you're probably going to be paying about like $30,000 just to buy down the interest rate. And it's kind of like a rolling of the dice. It's a gamble, okay? Because if we have interest rates go down in the next few years, then you're going to feel like you lost that bet. And you know, you paid all this money to have a lower interest rate. And really, you should just crunch the numbers. Just put it in a spreadsheet. See how long it will take you to recoup that $25,000, $30,000 by the difference in mortgage payment. And also check what the ratio is of your principal to interest payment, and make sure to incorporate that into the calculation. Now, if you want to know more about that, let me know in the comments and I'll make a video about that because I'm like a data nerd, a numbers guy, you know. So they're suggesting, first things first, you can just use money, like cash, to pay down your interest rate. It's an interesting idea. New construction is going to have really low interest rates. So maybe they should have suggested that, like go into new construction communities and get something that has really low interest rates already. Like I know of one in it's actually in Venice and Magnolia Bay, and they're offering like 4 or 5%, you know? I mean, it's definitely under 5%. It's like 4.99 or maybe 4.5 or something if you pay a little bit of your FHA. So there's options out there for low interest rates, right? And that might make it worthwhile. The next option I don't like, but you know, it might be good for me as a landlord, is consider renting. And they're saying like, hey, you know, we're expecting to have lower interest rates in a year or two, so maybe just rent for now, and then it'll be lower interest rates in the future. I don't like that idea. because once again, you're gambling, and like you have no idea what the rates will be, and then you're going to rent. So you're going to be paying, rent to somebody, like someone like me, like a landlord. I mean, okay, I don't mind rent payments, but that's not really what you want to do. Because think about it, just 12 months, right? Let's just say you rent something for $2,500, which is like just a normal home here in our area. So that's $30,000 out of pocket that you spent on money you're not getting back, okay? And maybe the interest rates will fall, maybe prices will fall, maybe, but why don't you just use that $25,000 to buy down your interest rate? I mean, that's a much better idea. So consider renting for a while, temporarily, that's what they're saying. Like, I don't know. I don't like that idea. And then the landlord can just jack up the rates, or maybe you lose your job and you can't qualify for a loan anymore, or maybe you're just not great at money management and you spend your money that you ended up, getting from the whole sale of your existing home. I don't like this idea. Damn, smelling like some sticky icky over here. And lastly, they suggest for you to consider assumable mortgages where people have 3 and 4% interest rates, and maybe you can find an FHA or a VA or a USDA loan that you can assume. Good luck. Good luck. Like literally less than 1% of listings have assumable mortgages. So what are they even talking about? You know what I would actually suggest, which I just did a video that this is a bad idea, but this might actually be a good idea for this situation, is get on the hunt for a subject to deal. Like if you're selling your home and you have $250,000 of equity, you might be able to find a home that's just priced at fair market value or maybe a little bit under that, and have a $300,000 assumable loan. And that's not an assumable loan actually. That's a subject to a loan. It's a purchase subject to a loan. All that means is that you're buying the property and you're taking over the payments for the other owner, for the old owner, right? And then there's people who are deal finders like this. This is what they do. They find the deal and then they advertise it and they try to sell it to you, and they take, they profit $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 on that. But whatever. I mean, who wouldn't want a 3.25% interest rate even if someone gets paid on it a little bit? You're not paying the bank to buy down points. It's not a bad deal. Where it's a bad idea is where if you're the seller and you're selling your home subject to, that's where it's a bad deal. Because then you're not going to qualify for a loan because your debt to income ratio is affected for at least 12 months. And quite frankly, do you want to trust someone to make the payment under your name? Ugh. I wouldn't want to do it. I'm telling you, I would not do subject to as a seller, but I would definitely do subject to as a buyer if the numbers make sense, okay? So what do you think? What can you do if you feel stuck? If you're part of this 50% of the homeowners in America who feel stuck in their home, that they can't do anything because interest rates are too high right now, what else can you do? You tell me. Write it in the comments.